Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, and Vincent Kompany. Many people will disagree with my decision here, but I can't say I have too many doubts about it. Ask almost any Premier League player or England international from the mid-90s up until 2010 to pick their best England or Premier League 11, and they will pick Rio Ferdinand. The partners will change from Terry to Vidic, Kompany or Adams, but Rio is invariably unchanged. That is because the Manchester United legend was the complete centre-back. Strong, athletic, intelligent, and a Rolls-Royce both in possession and in passing the ball. Rio Ferdinand could play in any team in any era and play masterfully, especially in his prime, so he starts. Vincent Kompany is obviously a Premier League legend, and even well into his 30s, we have seen the difference his departure, to him with the injury to Aymeric Laporte, has made at Manchester City this season. Nonetheless, I'm benching John Terry and selling the former Man City captain without any real doubt in my mind. Even when he first broke through at Chelsea as a teenager, John Terry had a sixth sense for sniffing out danger, the type that seems almost impossible to coach. A first-class reader of the game, a born leader, and a terrific all-round centre-back. Put simply, I think John Terry was a better centre-back than Vincent Kompany, so I'm starting Rio, benching JT, and selling Vincent, so long as he can pass a medical somewhere else, given that he's most likely sidelined with a muscle injury. Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Rivaldo. Again, I think this one is supposed to be a real killer, but I think it's a pretty easy call. Ronaldo Luis Nazario de Lima is perhaps the third greatest footballer of my lifetime, trading the two obvious candidates, and he would be talked about in the same breath as Messi, Ronaldo, Pele and Maradona were it not for his torturous injury problems that arrived so early on in his career. A young Ronaldo at PSV, Barcelona and Inter Milan was one of the most terrifying sights you're ever likely to see on a football pitch, almost like football's equivalent to a young Mike Tyson. Even after being sidelined for a year and losing some of that searing pace, Ronaldo was still the best player in the world, as he proved at the 2002 World Cup, so he starts without a shadow of a doubt. It is a closer call between Ronaldinho and Rivaldo, but still one that won't give me any sleepless nights. Both players, I believe, could have achieved more, primarily in terms of longevity, but Ronaldinho was for a brief period the most entertaining footballer of the last 2 decades at least. One of the finest manipulators of the ball I've ever seen, Ronaldinho would pull off tricks in Champions League and World Cup knockout games that most players wouldn't even dare to attempt in training. Don't get me wrong, Rivaldo was a monster. Big, strong, brilliant on the ball, and equally capable of winning a game by an incisive pass or a thunderous long-range effort, but I have no option but to sell him. Ronaldo starts, Ronaldinho is benched, and Rivaldo walks, for the purposes of this video, but in real life I'd be starting all three and getting the band back together. Jordi Alba, David Alaba, and Marcelo. The three best left-backs in world football for the last 7 or 8 years, pretty much since Ashley Cole began to regress, Jordi Alba, David Alaba, and Marcelo have all been incredible servants to the game and to their clubs. Marcelo is the pick of the bunch in terms of his entire career to date, I would suggest, although he is the oldest of the three. Marcelo has made the FIFA Pro World 11 6 times, which is more than twice as many times as any other left-back. But as I said, we're only concerned with the here and now. And in the here and now, I think I would be forced to sell the Brazilian. Marcelo is 32 now, and he's had a difficult couple of seasons. Make no mistake, I'm not suggesting that he's over the hill or won't have a brilliant renaissance further into his 30s. But it's always going to be narrow margins when you're dealing with players of this calibre. Right now, despite the fact he spent much of the season at centre-back, I think David Alaba is the best left-back in the world, so I have little choice but to start him. That means my ultimate answer is to start Alaba, bench Alba, and sell Marcelo. I think it's worth noting that since 2012, all three of Alaba, Alba, and Marcelo have spent periods of time as the best left-backs in the world, and my order probably would have been different 18 months ago and would most likely change again in another 18 months, especially if Alaba becomes a centre-back for good.